Okay, so everybody's feeling better, and then tomorrow we have midpoint weigh-ins. So we'll get your weights, we'll get your body fat percentages, we'll give you a breakdown of how much muscle you gained, how much fat you lost, and everything. So some people are concerned midpoint with the scales not moving as quickly as they want them to, but then they realize when we do the body fat percentage that they've gained a tremendous amount of muscle and lost a tremendous amount of fat, so the scale's not going to move as much. But during the second half, you're not going to keep gaining fat muscle so quickly, but you keep losing fat, and the scale will drop a little more in the second half. So it's a process. It's a body fat percentage contest, not a weight loss contest. So when you're gaining muscle and losing fat, the scale's not budging. As long as that's happening, the percentage is large, then you're going to do much better. So it's all about the percentage, which is a healthier way to lose weight. So today's the second part. After 3 weeks, we're going to change up the nutrition plan. About a little over a year ago, we changed the last 3 weeks of the 6-week program's nutrition plan because I felt we can get a little bit better results the second 3 weeks. So we introduced modified keto for some people, modified keto for others, and we also introduced intermittent fasting. When we did that, we found that our percentages, our numbers improved and jumped. So for all the years prior to about a year and a half ago, we were averaging around 9% body fat loss in 6 weeks, everybody across the board. By adding keto and intermittent fasting, that's jumped to over 10% now. So we gained a whole extra percent from the second 3 weeks just from adding that in. That's the first thing. Second thing is we saw the total fat loss average increase from 20.5 pounds of fat loss in 6 weeks to 23.5 pounds of fat loss. So we gained about an extra 3 pounds of fat by changing the last 3 weeks of the program. And muscle gain, we also went from an average of 8.5 pounds of lean mass muscle gain in 6 weeks to 10.5. So by adding the modified keto and intermittent fasting, we've increased our fat loss by 3.5 pounds, our muscle gain by 2 pounds, and our percentage of body fat by over 1%, which is a lot when you're running averages because we've only changed that last 3 weeks. So it was a big improvement for us. So we've kept it in, and we've even tweaked it and fine-tuned that, especially with the fasting. We're doing a little bit more of it than when we were, and we're getting better results with that. So that's what we're going to introduce today. 2 things. One, everybody start introducing intermittent fasting, which I'll explain to you what that is because it's really important that you do it properly. And then we're also going to introduce modified keto. You guys have all changed the way you're eating, and your body has adapted, so it's really easy for you guys to move into a modified keto or keto at this point. We couldn't do this day one. Day one, it would have just been too hard and too much on your system. So we had would have had a very, very large dropout rate. So cleanse you guys out the first 3 weeks, and in the second 3 weeks, you guys are ready to adopt that and take it a step further. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is intermittent fasting and how do I do intermittent fasting? And what is intermittent fasting? The whole theory behind intermittent fasting is that you add fasting days throughout the week in order to conserve calories. So just basically, if you eat, say, 2,000 calories a day, 7 days a week, you're eating about 14,000 calories a week. If you do intermittent fasting on half of the days, which is what we're asking you to, and we cut that and have 1,000 calories a day, times 4 days, so we fast 4 days out of a week, we're eating 4,000 calories. And then the other 3 days would be 6,000 calories, so that's 10,000 calories. So we're dropping from a total of 14,000 calories a week to 10,000 calories a week. That in of itself is you're saving 4,000 calories a week, and over the course of a month, that's a bunch of pounds of fat. So one good thing about fasting is you have the extra caloric loss, which is good. The second thing is, when we discussed in the first seminar, the key to weight loss is controlling insulin release. So the less insulin you produce, the longer you're going to live, and more fat you're going to burn, the less you're going to store. So how do I decrease insulin release? Well, number one, I cut my carbohydrates down. I eat carbohydrates less often. I produce less insulin. Number two, if I fast and eat less often, then my body has less opportunities to produce insulin. And then combine them both, and you have even better results. So the whole thing behind fasting is to reduce the amount of insulin you're producing and also to cut your calories. As I said, I tried fasting like a year and a half ago, and I dropped like 26 pounds in 6 weeks, and I really wasn't overweight or anything like that, and I was just demonstrating, and I stopped it because I was losing too much weight. I found it to be very effective for weight loss, and so I said, okay, we researched, I tried it on myself. One or two other trainers tried it with success, so we implemented this into our programs about a year ago. So that's what we're going to do here, and that's why we want to add in intermittent fasting. The next thing is like, how do I do intermittent fasting? So what we like, and there's a couple different ways to do it. We found out that the easiest to implement and the most effective for us was what's called a 16-8 intermittent fast. And that means that 16 hours throughout the day, you're going to fast and not eat food. And then 8 hours out of the day, you're going to eat the meals that we ask you to eat. And just for an explanation, let's say that tonight at 8 p.m., you had your last meal. You're going to fast all night while you're sleeping. Tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, we would ask you to eat your next meal at 12 noon. And then this 12 to 8 period is what's called an 8-hour compressed window of eating, where you're going to eat your meals during that compressed window. So it's 16 hours of not eating and 8 hours of eating. It's really easy to fast when you're sleeping, right? So you want to have dinner, have nothing afterwards, and then here, you're going to wake up. So for me, when I was doing this, during the week, I wake up at 5 a.m. and jump in the shower, commute here to work, and I'm here at 6 a.m. training clients. My workout goes from about 7:30 to 9, and then I train a couple people, and at 12 noon, I would go and eat. So I was here. I worked out here, so it's really, really good if you can work out during your fasted state. You'll burn fat more efficiently. So if you can get a workout in early morning, take an early morning boot camp, or train your trainer early in the morning in that fasted state, and it's going to be really good for you for fat loss. And then at 12 o'clock noon, some days I would have breakfast, some days I'd have lunch, just depending on how I felt. There were days where I had lunch here, and then dinner was breakfast. It was like scrambled eggs and maybe bacon or something like that. So we're going to ask you to have around, if this is the hours that you want to follow your fasting, 12 o'clock you have breakfast or lunch, 8 o'clock is your dinner, and about halfway in between, around 4 o'clock, you want to throw a snack in there. So on fasting days, we're asking you to eat 2 meals and 1 snack. And that's on your fasting days. I would like you to try to introduce fasting every other day. So the next day you would just eat during your normal 12-hour eating period. Most people eat, 8 in the morning, 8 at night, 10 in the morning, 10 at night, whatever that 12-hour window is. Most people eat during the 12-hour window. So next day you go into your 12-hour window, you'd eat the meals we'd ask you to eat. So we ask you to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and up to 2 snacks. Hopefully at this point you're getting along with just maybe 1 snack. If you still feel you need the 2 snacks, keep them in. But if you feel you can kind of get by with just 3 meals and a snack on that other day, that would be good also. One rule of intermittent fasting is at any time while you're fasting, if you're hungry, you need to eat. That means your body's telling you, you're not ready to fast yet. It's just not ready. Everybody's different. So if you're waking up at 5 and training, boot camp 5:30, and you're like done around, around 9, 10 o'clock, you're like, oh my God, I'm dying. I'm starving, and I have to fast till 12. You need to eat, and that's not going to be a fasting day for you. Right, so you have to eat. So this isn't a starvation diet. If you're hungry, we want you to eat. But if you're not hungry, you don't have to eat. What can you have during fasting hours? So between 5 and 12 here, and 8 to, if you go to bed at 10 here, what can you have? You can drink water during the fast. Anything that doesn't have calories. You have water. You can have black coffee. You can have green tea, hot tea, cold tea, herbal teas, anything like that that does not contain calories. If I was putting you through like a really long fast, a 24-hour fast, I'd probably allow you to have something like bone broth. But these fasts aren't that long, and I don't think you really need to depend on that. And that's what we have. That's an intermittent fast day. Has anybody ever done this before? Yes. Hmm?
So how come every other day? Can you do it every day and just get in a routine? Or?
How come not every day and every other day? Well, one thing, you can fast every day. The longest anybody's ever fasted was 384 days, I think it was. So there's a gentleman who fasted 384 days, which means he did not eat food for 384 days. So he fasted every day. He was severely overweight and had some high blood pressure, cholesterol issues, and diabetic. He weighed over 400 something pounds. So he went on a fast, and what he did, the only thing he ate or that he had for 384 days was coffee, water. He had bone broth, and that was it. And he took a multivitamin, multi-mineral supplement every day. So for 384 days, he didn't eat any food. That's what he had. He had tremendous results. He actually gained muscle. A lot of people think fasting causes you to lose muscle. He actually gained muscle. He lost a tremendous amount of fat. His cholesterol went to normal. His blood pressure went to normal. And he was not diabetic anymore. So, a lot of people think fasting is starving. There's a difference. Starving is when you're hungry and you can't eat. And like if you live in the middle of Africa and they have famines, and there's just no food around, that's starving because you can't get food. Intermittent fasting is you choose not to eat. And if you get hungry, you can get food. That's the difference. So we're not trying to starve people. We're just trying to have you eat when you're hungry. And eat. And if you're eating the right foods, you will not get hungry. That's another key. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but that's what fasting is. And can you fast every day? You can. Do I think you should? No, I don't think you should.
No, I mean the 16-8. Can you do that every day?
I wouldn't do it every day. I would do it every other day. Yeah, because that's a lot. There's been some research out with women who do too much fasting. In the beginning, they lose a lot of weight, but then they start gaining weight back, and they're doing the same thing, but they start gaining weight. And that's an issue with your hormones are being affected, and you have the hormonal rebound, and you're just doing everything, can't lose weight, and start gaining it back. So you have to be careful. So I wouldn't want you to do that every day. And same thing is you might plan to fast 3 days next week, and one day you might you might be hungry and have to break the fast, and then go through your day with healthy eating, and then try to fast the next day, and you might only get 2 fasting days in. So, right. So if you're hungry, you have to eat. 16-8. Now this 8-hour compressed window of eating can be different for everybody. You can have your first meal at 10 in the morning, and then your last meal at 6 at night, right? That's an 8-hour compressed window. You can have 11 in the morning, and that would be 7 at night. You can do 9 to 5. So you can choose, and it doesn't have to be the same every day. You can choose to do it different times every day. It just depends, whatever fits in your schedule. There were days where I was doing 18 hours of fasting and 6 hours of eating. There was days I was supposed to be 12 to 8, and I would do 12 to 8 because I got home late from work and I wanted to have dinner at 8, but there were days I got home at 6 and it was a 12 to 6. So it's kind of flexible depending on your schedule. And there's days I was just so busy at work and it wasn't going to be a fasting day for me. So you fit into your schedule as needed. So it's a pretty good tool, and it works very, very well. What really helps fasting is when you're not eating a lot of carbohydrates, right? Because I taught you guys in the first seminar that, for us, the only 2 things that cause hunger are either not eating enough, and then you get hungry, you must eat. And the other thing is if you eat too high a percentage of carbohydrates, it's going to trigger hunger. So I know you guys are all on a low carbohydrate diet now, so that shouldn't be triggering hunger. So if you do get hungry now, you're probably not eating enough, and you need to eat, right? So the first thing. The next thing is the second part of this program. First part is introduced intermittent fasting. The second part is moving you guys towards a ketogenic or a modified ketogenic protocol, all right? So what ketogenic means is it's a high-fat diet, healthy fats. It's moderate protein. It's not high protein. It's moderate protein. And it's low carb, super low carb. That's a pure ketogenic diet. So it's something like about 70% fats, like the total intake in your diet. It's anywhere from 15 to 30% protein, and it's less than 10% carbohydrate. So this is actually 60 to 70%. Those are the percentages. Actually, 60 to 75. Sorry. 60 to 75%. So that's a really, really high-fat diet, right? Like you always heard your whole life, like you eat too much fat, you get a heart attack. But that's pretty much been dispelled with all the recent research from the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. I've sent you guys some articles on cholesterol and fats and how it doesn't turn into fat in your body. So when I did the ketogenic diet, and I demonstrated that on myself also, the hardest thing for me was getting enough fats in. That was the hardest thing. And I had to come up with, how can I get more fat in? So that's a challenge. In these handouts, I have a list of healthy fats. I think it's the last page. This isn't in your manual, so I'm going to email it to everybody tonight, but this is healthy fats, which should give you an idea when you're searching to increase your fat intake. Should be the last page that you put. You didn't photocopy your last page?
Healthy fats?
Yeah, this one here. Okay, I'll email this to everybody. If you want to pass this around, you can pass it around. Take a look at it. It just gives you servings of different nuts and nut butters and healthy types of mayonnaise. And we like to use organic bacon, organic sausage as healthy fats, alternative cheeses as healthy fats, oils, different oils, coconut oil, almond oil, avocado oil. So those are all in there. So the key is here. Now, you have been living off the meal circles in the manual, and our nutrition counselors have taught you how to put your meals together, meal circles. The second phase, too, there are new meal circles. And if you look at the meal circles, the biggest difference you're going to see is that the first thing is we're going to decrease your protein intake a little bit. So if you're allowed to have 2 palms of protein at a certain meal, that's going to be knocked down to maybe 1.5 or 1. So the first thing is we're definitely going to reduce your protein intake a little bit. The second thing is you're going to see your carbohydrate numbers go down. So for the people who are allowed to have more carbohydrates, the A's and the ABs, like for breakfast, they were allowed to have 4 fists of vegetables. Now that one's cut down. Is that cut down to 2 or 1? 2. Yeah, so we're cutting the carb intake, the vegetable intake in half. So O's are only allowed to have a fist of vegetables. Now that's cut down to a half a fist. B's were allowed to have 2 fists. That's going to be cut down to 1 fist. So we're going to further reduce your carbohydrate intake because we want you to stop your body from producing insulin, right? So we're going to lower those carbs even more. We're going to lower the protein a little bit, and then what are we doing? We're jacking the fats up. So your fats in your meal circles now have all been at least doubled. So we were allowed to have 1 serving of fat, now it's 2. For some blood types, it's 2.5. And another thing, there's an asterisk on there. At any time, at any meal, if you want, you can add an extra fat. So if you want to move it up to 3 servings of fat per meal is fine. Specifically on intermittent fasting day, because what are we doing? We're cutting back on the amount of meals we're doing. So if you want a little extra fat on those days, that's going to be good and it's going to be helpful. So I want you to take a look at those circles and let me know if you have any questions on those.
Can you give us a sample, like a meal for lunch?
Sure. Yeah. So when on my fasting days, and I got to 12 o'clock, some days I want a breakfast, some days I want a lunch. So on the lunch day, what I would choose to do is I'd have salad, greens. So I don't like romaine, so I use either mixed field greens or baby spinach. And I'd have a big salad, because it's very, I can have like a pound, it's like, 12 grams of carbohydrates. So a lot of greens. And then I called it my 4-fat salad. I had to have 4 fats on it. So I'd put goat cheese, I'd put walnuts, I'd put sliced avocado, and then I used olive oil in the dressing, whatever dressing I wanted, and I called it my 4-fat salad. So I had my greens, I threw my 4 fats on it, and then I had to have protein. I had to add my protein to it. So what I would do is I'd just take a palm of protein. Usually I'd have double that or more, because I like eating a lot of protein, but one thing with keto is you want to pull back on the protein a little bit. So I'd have a hamburger cut up, throw it on it, or a flank steak chopped up, or a piece of chicken breast and cut up and throw it on the salad. Sometimes I'd have the chicken blackened and put on the salad, and everything was good. It was a lot of volume of food, but very low in calorie. My healthy fats would be there, and that was my first meal a day. And that would really hold me over. I mean, I'd get halfway through, if I was doing a 12 to 8 compressed eating window, I'd have that around 12, and 4 o'clock, midpoint, I wasn't really that hungry. And when I would do it for that midpoint and that snack, as I would drink a keto coffee or a bulletproof coffee. Have you guys heard that before?
So the recipe.
Yeah, so a keto coffee is basically a tablespoon of MCT oil, medium chain triglyceride oil, which is a healthy fat. And it's a tablespoon of ghee, which is another healthy fat. It's a teaspoon of raw cacao, C-A-C-A-O. It's not cocoa, it's cacao, which is a superfood. It's got like a chocolatey taste, but with no carbohydrates and no sugar. And I just put a pinch of sea salt So I take these 4 ingredients and put into my coffee, and I put into a blender and I blend it up. And that was a keto coffee, and I'd have that around 4 o'clock, midpoint there. And when I got home around 6 or 8, I wasn't even hungry. The fats and the caffeine here just gave me the energy to get through there.
So did you just not eat at 8?
No, I would still eat. Even though I was hungry, I'd have some, but it'd be really small. I'd have maybe like a small piece of fish, and that would be it. I wasn't even that hungry. If I was hungry, I'd have a bigger piece of fish. So, and the fish that I liked having, I like taking a piece of fish, I like basting it with mayonnaise. That's a healthy fat. And I'd fine chop up pecans or pistachios or some type of nut, and I'd dip the fish into the mayonnaise and dip the mayonnaise into nuts, and I'd make a nut-encrusted fish. So I had the fish, which was a protein, the mayonnaise, a healthy fat, and the nuts, another healthy fat. And I put it in the oven, I bake it, and then what I put on top was a lemon butter sauce. The butter would be another fat. So I'd melt some butter up and put some fresh lemon in it and pour it over the fish when it came up. And it tastes delicious, and there was a moderate amount of protein, but very high in fat.
Tell them what kind of mayonnaise you use, though.
The mayonnaises that you're allowed to have are on the healthy fat list. So we don't use Hellmann's. Hellmann's has a chemical in it called EDTA, which I don't think you want to consume, but there's many other mayonnaises out that are really good. So at home, we have Primal avocado mayonnaise, which is very good. We have organic mayonnaise,
Vegan.
and we have Vegenaise. And there's Vegenaise makes a couple different products. The one you want to get is the soy-free Vegenaise.
It's delicious. It tastes just like how.
Yeah, there's also paleo mayonnaise. We don't use paleo, but there's paleo mayonnaise, which is good, and there's organic mayonnaise, which is, other companies have organic. So there are healthy forms of mayonnaise, and that's what you want to use. So for me, that was like a perfect keto day. I really had very little carbohydrates, which were my salad, and the rest were just very high in fat and a moderate amount of protein. And that was my intermittent fast keto day. Yes?
You said you did a lot of your spinach, like, did they say you only have to do like a half a fistful?
Well, when it comes to pure greens, like baby spinach, mesclun, arugula, mixed field greens, romaine, it's not a fist, it's a whole handful, as big as you want, basically, up to a pound. When we're talking fish-rich vegetables, like broccoli, cauliflower, things like carrots, onions, those are fish. But the greens, and the notes are it's in your manuals that states that the greens are as much as you want. Yeah, you want to just take one fist of spinach. Yeah. Yeah, one fist of spinach isn't going to be nearly enough. It's like 3 calories or something. It's nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my question, because every day for 3 weeks now, because I love it, I have a spinach and feta omelet every day. And I have it starts off, of course,
I like that, huh?
3 or 4 handfuls of spinach.
Mhm.
And so can I still do that?
Sure.
That much?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yeah, and then that would be your first meal.
Oh.
There are other days I'd get to 12 o'clock and I wanted breakfast. So I'd have eggs. I usually had 2 slices of bacon, 2 pieces of sausage, and that was fine. So the eggs were cooked in butter was a fat. I counted the sausage and the bacon as a fat, and the eggs my protein. The eggs even have some fat in them. So ketogenically, that was fine. And a lot of times I wouldn't even have any carbohydrates at that meal. We were allowed to have green salad or some greens or half a fish. I would just skip it. And then later on, if I wanted to, I know if I was allowed to have a half a fist here, I can have a whole fist here if I wanted to. And there were times I'd have that salad here. As I said, I wouldn't even have any greens there. But that's me, So you have your charts and stick to them. But some meals, if you want to say, hey, listen, I want a little more carbohydrates at this meal, then you have the other 1 or 2 meal with none. Because we're looking at the total over a day. Okay, so just a little information about protein. Art asked me what happens if I kept the protein high. So when you're on a ketogenic diet and your carbs are so low, if you have too much protein, your body will metabolize the protein into glucose. It happens in your liver through a process called gluconeogenesis. So your protein's too high while your carbs are too low, your body will turn that excess protein into glucose. So that's why a ketogenic diet has to be a modified amount of protein. Basically, the formula is they want you to have, for people who exercise, about 0.7 to 1.0 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So it's really, it's really not that much. I mean, those are, and if you're not,
I didn't do
2.2 kilos equals a pound. So it's, I just take your body weight cut in half, you know? So that's not a lot, you know, and that's on the low end.
So with the eggs, it says some recipe says 4 eggs. So now when you would cut that in half, or just
Well, you have your meal circles. So we'll say for breakfast, you're allowed to have X amount of protein or X amount of eggs. It's on your meal circles. Yeah, so I think before, if you're allowed to have 4 eggs, now it would be 3. Okay?
I'm
Yeah.
allowed 2, but it says 1 to 2. Can I stay with my 2?
Yeah, yep. Yep. Yeah, just have to follow the circles. Now, you know, and again, if you're getting hungry, you have to text me or text your nutrition counselor because we have to give you more food. You're just not eating enough food.
So I'm just nervous because I'm a breakfast person,
Hmm?
and since like ever, although I look like this, I eat like 6 times a day,
Hmm?
and I eat within an hour of eating, within more than an hour of waking up.
Okay.
Um,
Got to give it a walk on the wild side.
uh,
I was the same way. I was the same way for years. Okay, so Carmen had said that she likes to eat breakfast every morning. She eats 6 meals a day, eats breakfast within an hour of waking up. And I was getting that she didn't want to stop doing that. But I want her to, like I said, take a walk on the wild side and try something different, and you might be pleasantly surprised. For many, many, many years, I ate as soon as I woke up, right? I was a bodybuilder, and I always wanted to get the food in and keep my muscle tissue up and everything. And when I started this whole thing, I'm like, I can't fast. I never fasted my whole life. I'm going to die. But the first time I ever tried it, it was like, wow, that's no problem. I didn't get hungry, and it was pretty amazing. So you got to give it a shot. I think you'll do fine. And you know, you might wake up at 5, and you might usually eat at 6. You might get to 9 o'clock and get hungry. Okay, then you eat at 9. So your fast is going to be a little shorter, right? Or you can eat at 9, but then stop at 5, right? So I'm telling you, give it a try. And if you fail the first time and you can't make it to it, you have to eat, then you do. But you just keep working on it, and I promise you, eventually, it's going to be it's not an issue at all. Not an issue at all. Yeah. Some, you know, in some literature I wrote, they said, listen, if you're in your fasting hours, say 5 to 12, and around 9 you're hungry, try a cup of coffee instead, or drinking water, because sometimes drinking coffee or drinking water will make you not hungry anymore. I don't know the exact mechanism, but I didn't even have to do that. I didn't give it a shot. So you can say, listen, no, it's 9 o'clock, I have to go to 12 to fast, a little hungry, try a cup of coffee or a glass of water. And it said for some people, when they're done drinking that cup of coffee or done with that glass of water, it's like the hunger dissipated. Because hunger kind of comes in waves. So if you can have something to kind of fight that off, it's like, oh, I'm not hungry anymore. So that would be some information. There's helpful hints in the handout that I gave you that gives you some hints and things to do while you're fasting. Yeah, some people say, oh, red meat's higher in protein than chicken, so I'm only going to eat red meat. Well, you know, red meat might have like 8 grams of protein per ounce, and chicken might have 6, so it's like a 2-gram difference. So eat a little more chicken. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't worry to try to eat one fish more because it's higher in fat than the other. Just I wouldn't encourage people to eat one type of flesh protein because it's a little higher in protein than the other ones. You know, they all have protein, they all have fats in them. You're going to get your added fats from eating, you know, the 2-3 fats you're adding to your meal. Yes?
can I have butter that says butter, or do I have to get ghee?
Either one.
Oh, I just got ghee,
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so Carmen asked, you know, does she have to have real butter or can she have ghee? It doesn't matter. They're both a fat, a healthy fat. So grass-fed butter, if you take grass-fed butter and melt it, it forms a liquid, which is the ghee, and that forms the solids. It will separate. The solids are milk solids. So butter is a combination of, you know, ghee and milk solids. So it's clarified butter is ghee. So you take the milk solids out. Tastes almost the same. Little different taste.
Butter's
Yeah.
way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I don't have grass-fed butter. I get my butter from Aldi's, so it's butter.
Organic?
No, this is butter.
Yeah. So, you know, we try to keep our clients as healthy as possible. So we try to have you eat organic or grass-fed. It's just there's a better chance there can be less chemicals and things in it like that. Butter from a regular cow is going to have IGF-1 and some growth factor 1. It's going to have antibiotics in it. things I don't want.
Haven't been eating that.
Yeah, things, hormones. There's things there I don't want to put in my body. Yeah. So that's the difference.
Okay.
Yep. So if you get organic butter, you don't have those wonderful ingredients in it, and you'll be a little healthier.
When you count your fat, like the oils and the butter,
Mhm.
is that counted that you've cooked it in?
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to cook eggs and you throw a tablespoon of butter, that's the tablespoon of butter counts as a fat serving, without a doubt. Yeah, so that's the difference between ghee and butter. So, two things. Intermittent fasting, 16/8. So definitely start implementing that right away. If you can do that tomorrow, that'd be great. And then we want to move to the new circles, which if you're an O blood type, it's definitely ketogenic. If you're a B, it's almost ketogenic. If you're A or AB, it's a modified ketogenic. A's and ABs wouldn't do well going full ketogenic because they need a little more carbohydrates than O's and B's. So a ketogenic diet isn't for everybody. It's great for O's, it's good for B's. And if you're an A or an AB, you want to do modified. You just want to increase your fats a little bit more, but you don't want to cut your carbs as much. So that's, we have that information in your materials. Liquids, as we said, the same liquids as we have during the regular challenge. So water, club soda or seltzer, teas, hot, cold, green teas, herbal teas, and coffee. That's it. Those are your liquids. There's hint water, we said hint water, hint fizz. Those are fine. Hint water and hint fizz are flavored with natural flavorings. So there's no sugar or fake sugars or sugar alcohols. So that product's fine. Yeah, and there's more and more companies putting that sort of beverage out. So it's just fine. So that's what we have eating-wise. So does anybody have any questions at all before we introduce Carol Ann to go over?
Is it really horrible to go under the 1,200?
On what days?
On any,
On the non-fasting?
sometimes at the end of the day,
On fasting days, we want you under that amount. That's why they're fasting days, right? So there's only 2 meals and 1 snack as opposed to 3 meals and 2 snacks. So fasting days are fasting days because they are lower calories. So yes, you will be under 1,200. You should be under 1,200. You don't want to cram all the food in that 8-hour window because then you're defeating the whole purpose. Yeah, so they are lower calorie days. On the other days, we want you to eat, your regular amount of allotted amount of calories. And again, don't fight through hunger. If your body's hungry, you're just not having enough, whether it's fat or
sometimes at the end of the day, I'm not hungry and I'm only at like 800. And like I said, I feel like
No,
these articles about,
if you're not hungry, don't eat. There's nights we come home, right? And we're like, well, I'm not hungry.
The way you feel trumps theory all the time. So you
Yeah,
have
if
to
you-
listen to your body.
Yeah, if you're not hungry and you're feeling good, boom, yeah.
Like a couple of nights I haven't been getting my
Yeah,
last meal and I'm just not hungry.
yeah, that's fine then. That's
And
and-
see how you do during the night if you didn't have that last meal. See how you can make it through
Yeah,
the night.
some
You're
people-
sleeping
yeah.
soundly or-
Yeah, some people, it will make them wake up in the middle of the night. So you have to be able to read the symptoms. And you also have to decide, is it true hunger? Or is it like, oh, I've eaten dinner 8 o'clock every night for 40 years, and it's 8 o'clock, so now I'm going to eat dinner. So is it really true hunger, or is it your body's computer preset after all those years? So you want to really have a good heart-to-heart with yourself. Like, am I hungry, or am I just eating because I always eat at this time? Right? So we want to look, we want to feed hunger, but we don't want to feed into those other things. Right? So thanks for coming today. This information is amazing once you adopt it. And it might take a couple times to get through it, but fight through it and get there because it's worth it. And if you have any questions, you can contact me directly, and I'll help work you through it. Carol Ann is going to talk about some healthy information for you.
So, not only during this body fat challenge are you losing body fat, losing weight, increasing lean muscle tissue, feeling so much better, releasing stress, all the good things that come, you're also detoxing your body. So, what happens sometimes when you detox your body is you get sick, right, Jen? And who else got sick? Carmen. And the reason why is because as you detox, you're releasing toxins, and some of them get reabsorbed through your bloodstream, and you get sick. So real quick, I just wanted to just give you some tips to keep your immune system strong. Not only during the first 3 weeks when you're detoxing or the 6-week challenge, but forever. So you know there's germaphobes out there who are so afraid of touching germs, and they wipe the knobs with those chemically hand wipes, and they don't shake hands with people because they're afraid to get germs. Well, alternative theory is strengthen your own immune system. You have to live your life. You can't be afraid of germs. But if your immune system is strong, you can overcome any germs. So, vitamin C powder. This is from Dean's. It's called Ester C. I recommend that you use this anytime you come in contact with germs, or anytime you just feel like you need to boost your immune system. If you're feeling like you know how before you get sick, you know it's coming, so you want to take vitamin C. Vitamin C is water soluble. Take 2/3 of a teaspoon in water. You can make the water room temperature so it dissolves and it tastes a little better. It doesn't taste very good, to tell you the truth, so I do hold my nose and chug it and then drink water afterwards. But I'm telling you, this is like magic potion. It's amazing. We are not experts on supplements, but I would recommend that you go see Matt over at Dean's. And if you feel like you need some more supplements to help you, he'll help you pick out a couple. Oil of oregano, we take a couple of drops, we put it under our tongue. It's powerful. It kills bad bacteria in your intestines, so that's a great one too. Yeah, because it's strong. If you
What about the herb oregano? Is that all right? If you cook a lot with it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's definitely going to help. But if you feel like you need an extra boost, sleep is so important. And everyone thinks that they can outsmart Mother Nature by not getting enough sleep. But from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. every night, your body goes through physical repair. From 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., your body goes through mental, psychological repair. You have to be sleeping in order to get those benefits. If you can't go 10 to 6, you might want to try 11 to 7 or 9 to 5. But as long as you try to sleep at least 8 hours as often as possible, you'll be much healthier. Relax, which Americans have an adversity to. Try to relax. Just try to slow down. Meditate, pray, just quiet down. And it's so important to quiet down because it's time for you to listen to your body. And you can see how this contest is affecting your body, how foods are affecting your body, how the exercise is affecting your body, how if you experiment with ketogenics, how that's affecting your body. But you have to be quiet in order to listen. Drink plenty. I'll get to that. Drink plenty of clean water, because that's going to flush the toxins out. Remove all chemicals from your home. Cleaning products, beauty products, perfumes, colognes, shampoo, soap, lotion, that's all chemicals that if you get rid of, you have such a better chance of being healthy. Reduce stress. We all have stress in our lives. So number one, if you can eliminate the stress, walk away from it, get away from the stress, that's great. If not, then learn how to manage your stress. And exercising and praying and meditating, and those are nice ways to reduce stress. And everyone hates to talk about this, you have to move your bowels at least once a day. You must. You know when a baby is born, they eat, they poop, they eat, they poop, they eat, they poop? That's how our digestive system is supposed to operate. We clog our digestive systems up, and that's why we can't poop at least once a day. During this contest, during the Body Fat Challenge, start to figure out what foods are binding you and what foods help you to eliminate. That's real important. Okay, so detoxing. By eliminating sugar, alcohol, grains, dairy, chemicals, you're detoxing. Exercise, sweating, that's a great way to detox your body. There's detox teas out there that you can drink. Dry skin brushing is a great way to detox. Detox bath. During the winter, I think I take a detox bath at least 3 times a week. This is a solution that you can use. It's 2 cups of Epsom salts, which draws the toxins out, 2 cups of baking soda, which is a naturally alkalizing substance. It helps to remove toxins. You can just relax in the bathtub. You can read, meditate, take a little nap, whatever you'd like to do. It's so relaxing and it's just so wonderful for you. A foot soak, here's a recipe for a large mason jar, and then you can just use 2 or 3 tablespoons in your foot soaks. 2 cups of Epsom salts, baking soda, lavender oil, tea tree oil. This is just a recipe that I got off the internet, but I use this recipe, and I'm telling you, during the Christmas season, I always get like a little sinusy or cold, but I was soaking my feet 2-3 times a week. Nothing. I remained 100% healthy through the holidays. Okay, and so another way to detox your body is just to scrape the back of your tongue with a tongue scraper. It's shaped like this. It's metal. But what I learned over the course of the 18 years that Mike and I have been organic and holistic is that the less toxins you ingest or breathe or come in contact with, the less you have to detox your body. And that's so wonderful because you know an abundance of toxins is what leads to inflammation in your body and illness and disease. So I have 2 things that I would like to raffle off. This is an Epsom salt foot soak solution. And again, you would take about 2 or 3 tablespoons, put it in a foot basin, make the water nice and warm, make your bathroom nice and warm, and soak your feet for like anywhere between 10, 20, 25 minutes. But I really, really believe this is like voodoo magic too. And I'm going to raffle that off. To the lucky winners for the foot soak solution is going to be, can you choose one card, please? Marcy! There you go. Call me if you have any questions about using that. And this is vitamin C powder, the ester C powder. And again, you're going to take 2/3 of a teaspoon. I put it on the back. It's 1,500 milligrams of vitamin C. When you're feeling sick or when you feel sick, illness coming on, I would do as much vitamin C as you can. And you know you're at your threshold when your tummy starts to get gurgly. So the lucky winner for the vitamin C powder is going to be Carmen. There you go. So be healthy, stay healthy, and continue this after the 6 weeks, definitely. And my cell phone number also is in your body fat manual, so if you have any questions, feel free to text me, call me. We're available all the time. Do you want to say anything else? Does anyone have any questions? We can wrap this up, and Mike and I will stay, so if you have any questions, we'll stay behind.
So,
Thank you for coming, guys.
increase your fats, increase your protein and carbs, and intermittent fasting, and
And stay healthy.
stay healthy.